Share my screen. All right. So can everyone see my screen here? Take that as a yes, unless I hear a no.
Yes.
Okay. So, so here at the top, we've got our story. So, we're sitting here, we're developers, we show up for work on Monday morning, and here's our task. So our story, our task, it's 3 points. We'll talk about this later, but that usually means it'll take you 3 days to complete it, something like that. So it doesn't really matter, but so the story is we need a travel package app. So there's some more detail there. You need to write a class. So writing a single class, and that class needs to get a user's budget, needs to get a user's destination based on the budget, right? So and needs to display a confirmation message to the user. So the user interacts with this application. It says, okay, I have $1,000 to spend and I want to travel somewhere. The app says, okay, here's a list of possible destinations. And then the user chooses one of those and then gets a confirmation message. So nothing terribly complicated, but we're just going to kind of walk through how you might want to plan. So one option, of course, is to just immediately open up a Python file and type in class travel package and start coding away, but that may or may not cause problems for you. So we want to talk about how you can kind of think about the problem in some detail before you start writing, so that when you do write, you can just very smoothly translate what you've written into Python code. So let's ask ourselves a couple questions. Well, first we'll ask about data, and then we'll ask about methods. So classes are organized around 2 basic components. We have data or attributes, and then we have methods. So if we have a class, we have to think about what data we need. So based on our requirements, what kind of data do we need? What variables do we need?
Budget.
Okay. What else?
The destination.
Okay.
Options.
Yep. So we'll just so the user's budget, the destination options. Anything else?
Confirmation message.
Confirmation. Okay, so we could have a confirmation message, but that might be so it would depend on how you're. So I'm obviously gonna guide this a little bit because I have some of this pre-written, so because I don't want to waste a bunch of time. But so that's a good thought. But we could probably use something like string interpolation to insert specific things. So we could save like a template message or something. So that's a good thought. Anything else?
Do you want the user's ultimate decision based on their budget?
Yeah, so that would probably be good to have as well. So okay, so I think that will probably do it. So we have the user's budget. So that's from number 1 here. Gets the user's destination based on the budget. So that's the destination options. So all the possible destinations that we have available, and then whatever the user chooses based on that. Okay. So let's talk about. So we have our basic data. So let's talk about where this data is going to go. So we know we're going to have a class. We have a few different places where we can put data. So where can we put data?
The user's budget would be an instance variable, right?
Well, so I'm just asking a more broad question before we jump into specific. So
Maybe do a method for or
Yes,
subclasses.
yeah. So let me just take a step back and ask. We have a class, right? Any old class, doesn't matter. Where are the places that I can put data in a class? So I can have class attributes, right? I can have instance attributes, and then I could have local variables inside of methods, right? So there are three places where I can put data or information. So if we have three options, basically, let's now talk about where we want our user data to go. So where do we want a user's budget?
In the instance of a user,
Okay, and why would that be?
because each one would be different. So you don't want it in the class.
Okay. Okay, what about the destination options?
Yeah, class attribute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would you? Why might you do that?
Because everybody's options are the same for their destination.
Yeah, so
Options.
that might be determined at a higher level. So we're a travel company or whatever. There's only so many destinations that we have. So we'll do. And what about the user's chosen destination?
Well, that'd be an instance as well.
Yeah. So why would you do that? What's your thinking for that?
Well, because every user's destination can be unique.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So. Okay, so I think that's probably good. So we have three pieces of data that we know we're going to need, and we know where we're going to put it. So we've got an instance, a couple instance variables, and a class variable. All right. So what about methods? So we have data. Now we need to do stuff. So what kind of stuff should we do? So let's just look at our requirements and see what kind of methods we might need to write.
We have to check the user's budget against the price of destination.
Yes, so that's something that we definitely want to do. But before we do that, we have to have the user's budget. So sorry, I didn't hear that.
Just like get the user's budget, just like
Yeah.
input.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do get user budget. No, what else? So yeah, once we have it, we could do we could check if that might be something. We'll deal with that in a sec. So we get the user's budget. We can. So number 2, get a user's destination based on the budget.
So you get a
This one
list.
we would,
You get a
You guys
list.
want to duke it out? I can't see you. I can't see everyone's name. Sorry, you guys are gonna have to handle it amongst yourselves.
If you want to get a list of what destinations they can possibly go to, so it'll narrow down your possible destinations.
Okay. Right. So we can get possible destinations. Okay. So we get the user budget. We get all of the possible destinations that the user could afford. And then what do we do?
Tell the user what their options are.
Okay, so we could, let's say we get, so yeah, so that could be another method. But let's just say that this could be combined. All right, so we'll go ahead and write that down. So get, let's see, display. So display possible destinations. What else?
Maybe a method to confirm the confirmation message, I guess.
Okay, yeah, so a confirmation. So we could display confirmation message. So where does this guy want to go?
Yeah, he's got to input his choice out of the possible destinations.
Yeah, maybe we can put that here. Okay. Does anyone see anything that we're missing based on our requirements up here? So you can get the users,
Why don't
Go
we
ahead,
need the
yeah.
user's location?
the user's location. So we could, so there's nothing about the user's present location in our requirements. I mean, that would be a good idea if we were, building out an additional feature for this. But if we're just restricting ourselves to the requirements, then we just need to know where the user wants to go, not where the user is.
Well, how would we know how far they're going to travel then?
Well, we don't need to know how far they're going to travel.
All right.
So yeah, so there's nothing in the requirements that says anything about the user's location or distance or anything like that. Like we could certainly add functionality that does that, but our requirements don't say anything. So we're actually the destination options is just going to be a hard-coded list. So we don't need to do anything to figure out to dynamically arrive at the cost for a particular destination. Okay, so if we can get the user's budget, let's get user budget. We can get the user's destination based on the budget. We can display all the possible destinations, and then we can get all the possible destinations, then display all the possible destinations, and then the user can choose from among those. And then they'll display a confirmation message to the user. So it looks like all of our core functionality is covered now in these methods. So let's talk in more detail about what each of these methods do. Okay, so we have get user budget. So in detail, we're not writing code, but tell me how get user budget should work.
Takes in an input from the user.
Okay, so we'll do something like, okay, and then what's it going to do with that input?
Set it to an instance variable.
Okay, do we have a candidate up here?
User's budget.
Okay, and then set something like that. Okay, so we're going to get the user input, then we're going to set that value to this instance attribute that we already know that we need. So I think that will probably cover it for this method of get user budget. What about get possible destinations?
Like in a list of possible destinations.
Okay. So how will that, so we already know that we're gonna have something, since I've already pre-written it. It'll be an array with a bunch of tuples in it. But just it's a thing that we can iterate over that's got all of the destination options in there.
Will we need to import it then if we have it separate?
So it'll be a class. So we actually could make it. We could keep it in a separate file and then import it and use it. But we'll make it a class attribute. So I just want a little bit more detail. So we have all these things and we have a budget. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, we need to know if it's within their budget or what destinations are within their budget.
Exactly, right? So we can get all the possible destinations. So we're gonna have to basically filter, right? So we're gonna have to go through all of the possible destinations and do some kind of filtering. So presumably, whatever destinations they can go to will be a subset of that, of all possible destinations. So you can do something like, so get possible destinations. So filter destination. So filter through this, and then we'll return we'll just say we'll return a list. Return a list of something like that. Okay, so we have a user budget. We get the budget, and then we want to get a list of all the possible destinations. So we can run a function that will filter all those. And then once we have all the lists that this particular client can go to, we can display the possible destinations. And what should this method do?
It should list out the destinations and the prices.
Okay. So it can, I think actually this one will be pretty simple. So we'll just, so the prices will be good, but we'll keep this very, very bare bones. So we won't even worry about the prices. So display the filtered list turned by get. So we're gonna display the filtered list that's returned by get possible destinations. Okay, I don't think there's much more to do there. So we're just displaying something. So the user enters their budget. We filter the list from all of our destinations that we offer. We get the subset of lists that this particular user can afford. We display that list to the user. And then we need to get the user's ultimate chosen destination.
That would be another input.
Okay, yeah, so we'll do okay, and then maybe we can so what should we do after we get the input?
Confirm it.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Like the display confirmation message telling them that that's
Okay.
what they picked.
Sure. Yeah. So that's a good idea. We'll skip that. It's just a little bit extra, and we're trying to keep it very minimal. But yes, that is a good idea. So we have we grab the user input.
Would you have to check to make sure it's one of the ones on the list of their possible destinations?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, right? Because they can only go to 3 countries, and they choose, something that they can't go to, then that won't work. So we'll have to check. So if user, something like this, if user input is in the filtered list, then what?
You can have a message saying confirm or display the confirmation message.
We could do that. Let's look at our the data that we need. So we could change how we organize this, but for now, an instance needs to have the destination that the user chose.
So just set their input as a variable in the instance.
Yeah, so I think we could do that. So then self.destination is user input. And what if it's not? What if they enter some random thing?
Then we have to tell them to put in a different response.
Okay, else can try again. Or maybe just fail something. Okay, so we have these 4 messages. So I'm a user, I go here, I say I have $1,000 to spend. I get a list of 5 countries I can go to. I say, oh, that looks good, I want to go there. If what I enter is actually on the list, then self.destination is now, that's now my destination. Then the very last thing we have to do is display confirmation message. I think we could just print something. Right? Not too hard. So I think this will probably be good to get us started. So we have our story. We have some detail for our requirements. We need to get a user's budget. We need to get a user's destination based on their budget. And then this needs to display a confirmation message to the user. We know that we're going to need a user's budget, destination options, and then the specific destination that the user chooses. We know that we want the user's budget and the user's chosen destination. These are going to be particular values that are unique to any given instance. We know that the destination options are going to be shared among all instances. We can put that in a class. The methods that we need, we can go down and you can get the user's budget. You can get all the possible you can filter through and get all the possible destinations. Tell the user what their options are. We can get that user input. The user can choose one of those, and then we'll display a confirmation message. So I think that will. Does anyone have any questions? All right, so let's go ahead and we'll try to code this out. So I pre-wrote some of this stuff again, just so we don't have to be here for forever. I had to make a couple of changes. So get user budget, possible destinations, display possible destinations. I think add that here. Okay, display confirmation message. Yeah, we can change the name here. Display final. All right. Wow, look at that nice angle. Totally on accident. Okay. So we have our class, and I just, this comes for free, so we don't have to type it all out, but we have an array of tuples. Just want to remind everyone that tuples exist. They're neglected data type in Python. And then we have our init. We have okay, so let's knock out our instance methods. We have our class method already taken care of. What about our instance methods? You guys are not eager to get out of here, are you?
Under
Self
definite,
dot.
do we need
There we
a class
go. There we
and
go.
Users budget?
Okay, so we'll do self. So what should that be?
Oh. Is it different if they're inputting it versus just putting user?
I mean, ultimately the code won't care. It'll just be a
Okay, so
value.
user underscore budget.
Well, so the way this is going to
Or
work
we're
is,
already setting it here.
yeah, so we're going to create an instance, and then we're going to have to start rolling from there.
Probably start with none then.
Yeah, I think that would be good. So if we don't know what their budget is, we don't have it yet, we'll just put none. We don't have it yet. We will, and that's why it's there. So we know that this is going to be something eventually, but for now, it's nothing. And we'll do the same thing with self dot. Okay, so self dot user destination is also none. All right, so looks like we've got all of our class and instance data attributes taken care of. We have destinations up here shared among all instances. Then we have a particular instance, and we don't know when we instantiate it, we don't know what the user is going to choose. We're going to have to get that user input, which conveniently enough we can do right here. So get user budget. So let's look at our methods now. So we have get user budget, and we know that we're going to get user input. And then we're going to take that input and we're going to change the value of self.user budget from none to something. So how do we do that?
Self.user budget equals input, and then like whatever you want to prompt them for.
Okay. Something like that. All right, so I think that will work. So now we've gotten user input and we've assigned it to self.user budget. So that looks like we're done with that. What about get user destination? We'll change this to get possible user destination. So. Actually, that was correct. So here, this is just in order.
So another input.
Yeah. Well, so here we're gonna do, sorry, the order was off. So we want to get all of the possible destinations. So here, we're gonna get all the possible destinations. So our first line is we want to filter this class destinations object or array, and then filter or return a list of all the possible destinations based on their budget.
You can do like a for statement, looping through destination prices.
Okay.
So like the second element of tuple.
Okay. So for okay, so we'll loop through all of these and then what?
And compare the budget to the second element of each tuple. And if the budget is equal to or higher, you can append it to a list.
Okay, so if dest one is less than or equal to self dot user budget, then so we'll have another array here. So we'll append the name of the country in that case. All right, so and I'm just gonna quickly, I'm gonna make sure this is an integer. Okay, so we're getting the user budget. Say that the user is gonna enter just a nice whole number. We'll get all the possible destinations. So we're gonna filter through our all destinations, and we're gonna check the ones that this person can afford. And we've got this right here. So we filtered through the list, and we're gonna return a list of possible destinations. So how do you return something?
You just return the possibilities.
Yeah. And what happens if I don't return anything?
That's fine. It's just a void method.
Yeah.
Just won't do anything.
Yeah. So it'll return none. If you don't tell it specifically what to return, it returns none, which is, yeah, a void method. If we were in Java or something that cared about return values. All right, so we have our get possible destinations. So now we're going to get all of our possibles. Now we're going to move on to the next method, which is display possible destinations. So we'll move that up. Okay, how can we fill out this? Display possible destinations. Display the filtered list returned by get possible destinations.
Just print get possible destinations.
Yeah. We'll just for the sake of clarity, I'll make this and then get possible destinations. Okay, so now we're displaying all the possible destinations. We're printing here, and now get user destination. So get user destination is going to grab the user input. So the user is going to be shown a list of all the options. The user is going to input something. we're going to check it and then do one of two things.
So let's make user input equal to input and ask them for what destination they'd like.
Okay. So where do you want to go? So now we have this possible destination. So what do we do now?
Could do another for loop, just comparing possible destination to whatever's in the list. Like
Okay.
if it equals anything in the list.
Yeah. So we could do if possible dest is in and if it is a possibility, then
You could just
We could set the
return
user
true.
destination.
okay. So self dot this user is possible dest. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw an error. So raise exception. Okay. So now the user starts off, submits the budget. We go through and get a list of everything that's, that this user can afford. We display the list. Then the user chooses something. We check and see if it's, on the list of possibilities. If it is, then that's now, the official user's destination. Otherwise, throw an exception. And finally, what we need to do is display a confirmation message.
You just print thanks, you are headed to and interpolate user destination.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we didn't test anything the whole time we were building that, which is not a great idea, but we did follow closely our pseudocode, which hopefully made actually implementing this a lot easier, faster. So let's go ahead and try it out. So TP and get user budget. We get the user budget, and then we're going to get possible. And TP dot display possible destinations. TP dot get user. Display final confirmation message. All right, so let's see if this works. $1,200. I can go to Columbia. Even if type none is not iterable.
I think
That returns a string, I think.
you need to be looking in possibles. Hey, do you?
On line 29, I think you're trying to iterate over it. That's a string.
Oh yeah.
This is a string?
Yeah, you're calling the wrong function.
Get user destination. Self dot display possible destination. Oh yeah, sorry, thank you. Get possible destinations.
It's actually returning none.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. So yeah, so this function just prints something that's a side effect, doesn't return anything. So it's returning none. So the error message is actually helpful if you know enough to use it. So none time. So this will be get possible destinations. So okay, so looks like it works. We could test this with something else. But anyway, you guys get the idea. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. We start out by planning, and we plan, pretty thoroughly. We think in detail about all of the data that whatever data. In our case, we're making a class. So if we were making a function or an algorithm, it would be a little bit different, but the same basic principles hold. So we just think about what are the properties that we're going to need, what are all the actions that we're going to need to perform, and if we could write some pseudocode, some as detailed as possible pseudocode, and we go to transfer that to actually writing code. We're just thinking about how to implement this stuff. We're not thinking about, oh, is this going to work, or how should I tie this together, or whatever.